People in a fishing village in northern Japan have celebrated a kind of homecoming. They welcomed back the remains of some sacred objects, shrine gates that were swept away by the 2011 tsunami and traveled all the way across the Pacific. NHK World's Miki Ebara has more.
A tiny fishing village of Okuki in Aomori Prefecture was hit by a giant tsunami 4.5 years ago. Residents here have been waiting for this day for a long time. The two wooden crates are on the last leg of a journey to the United States and back. Inside are parts of 2 torii gates. People had thought they might never see them again.
It's amazing they traveled to the US. I'm really happy to see them.
I'm surprised they came back, and I'm grateful to everyone.
Before the disaster, a pair of torii stood at the port. Fishermen and their families prayed there for safety before going out to sea. The tsunami knocked over the gates. 2 years later, parts of the gates were found washed up on the shore in the U.S. state of Oregon. Staff at a Japanese garden in Portland heard about the discovery and decided to investigate. They got a lucky break. One of the beams was engraved with the name of a person who donated the gate. A pair of executives of the garden traveled to Japan to look for more clues. Their search lasted more than a year. Toshimi Takahashi is the fisherman whose name is on the beam. He's 85 years old and donated the gate in 1988.
I looked closely at the photos. Yes, it was my name. I was very surprised that it traveled so far. Just very surprised. And I'm truly thankful.
Staff at the garden organized fundraisers to help send the beams back home. The shipment finally arrived in the port of Yokohama last month. The beams had made a round trip of 14,000 kilometers. The story has captured the attention of people on both sides of the Pacific and has become a symbol of their friendship. U.S. Ambassador to Japan, Caroline Kennedy, was among the guests who celebrated the return. Now, a local craftsman is restoring the gates, and they're scheduled to be returned to the port next spring. Miki Ebara, NHK World, Okuki, Aomori.
Now in our studio, we have Steve Bloom, CEO of the Portland Japanese Garden. Welcome to our show, Steve.
Thank you.
First of all, it's just amazing and heart-touching to see that what you've done for the tsunami-devastated region. How do you feel now that the remnants of the torii gates have finally returned back to where they belong?
Well, I think we all have mixed emotions about it. We're so happy for their return and happy that they're where they rightly belong. But, you know, we've been protectors and have had custody of these for a couple of years now and have felt very strongly about doing the right thing and returning them. So while we miss them, we know that they're back in their rightful place.
Tell me, what were the biggest challenges throughout this project?
Well, I think finding where these came from. There were some 300 shrines that were impacted by the tsunami. So trying to find a proverbial needle in a haystack, if you would, as to these could have come from any shrine in that region. And how do we identify where it is? And it really wasn't until we put boots on the ground, people up there from our staff, that we were able to connect the dots.
Why do you think so many people and companies in the U.S., including your Japanese garden, were supportive about this project?
You know, there has been a lot that has washed ashore over the last couple of years from the tsunami in the United States. But it was clear to everyone that these were unique and special and sacred objects. And in fact, we had an opportunity to bring the people of Japan and the U.S. closer together using these as a symbol, as a gift of hope back to the people of Tohoku. So I think that has been really engaging for people and something that everybody has done their best to make sure it happens.
How did you find that piece of wood that was washed up on the shore was part of a torii gate?
Well, originally the gentleman who found the gates, it was a wasabi grower who once lived in Japan and recognized that it was something more and contacted the government of Oregon. And then we sent our staff who then identified that, yes, indeed, these were torii gates.
So thanks to him.
Yeah, indeed.
Right. We've seen in Mickey's report that the children were very excited about the torii gates return. What would you like the local people and the children to take away from this whole experience?
Well, you know, I think we understand and we know that rebuilding needs to continue to happen for their future, for the children of Tohoku, for all the people of Tohoku. And so this process, there's been an understanding that there needs to be economic rebuilding and that there needs to be rebuilding of jobs and buildings. We hope that this is a symbol of a spiritual rebuilding. And from Oregon, with love, we send these torii gates back. That's our message.
I'm sure it is very encouraging for the people in Tohoku region to feel that people from across the Pacific are supporting them.
Yeah. Well, you know, we want this to bring our people closer together, not just Portland and Aomori, but really the people of Japan and the United States, and understanding how this story happened. It's remarkable. It's really a miracle.
How do you hope that this relation will develop in the future?
Well, we want to welcome people to Portland to come and see who and meet the people that have worked on this project. And we're going to be going back there in the spring to rededicate these torii gates. And so I hope it's the beginning of a wonderful relationship between our people and our regions. You know, I had the opportunity to be with Ambassador Kennedy last night, and she said an amazing thing. She said, this is really a symbol that the Pacific doesn't divide us, it actually connects us. And I think that's a wonderful expression.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Steve Bloom, CEO of the Portland Japanese Garden.